It began subtly, a ripple in the mundane. October 1987. The familiar fuzz of late-night television on Channel 7. Many had retreated to the warm embrace of their blankets, leaving the flickering glow of the television to battle the encroaching darkness. Then, the static. It wasn't the usual white noise of a lost signal. This static felt different. Heavier. A buzzing, crackling presence that seemed to claw its way out of the television set and seep into the living room. It held viewers captive. An unseen force prevented them from changing the channel. The static intensified. The air grew thick with anticipation and dread. This was not a technical difficulty. This was something else. Something unsettling. Something that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the static ceased. The screen went black. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a single image flickered into existence. A stark white message on a black background. Do not adjust your set. October in the 80s held a different kind of tension. The Cold War still cast a long, unsettling shadow. The threat of nuclear annihilation felt palpable. It was a time of whispered fears and unsettling news reports. Against this backdrop of unease, the strange broadcast on Channel 7 took on an even more sinister quality. People called their neighbors, their voices hushed and urgent. Word spread quickly in the days before the internet and social media. An unsettling feeling of shared dread began to permeate the community. The message, "Do not adjust your set," felt less like a technical instruction and more like a threat. It hinted at an intrusion, a violation of the safe space that existed between the television screen and the viewer's living room. It suggested that someone, or something, was in control. The black screen lingered for what felt like an eternity. Each tick of the clock amplified the growing tension. Then, the screen flickered back to life. The nightmare was just beginning. The image that replaced the black screen was both confusing and terrifying. A kaleidoscope of distorted colors and shapes flashing rapidly. It assaulted the senses, a barrage of visual noise that was impossible to decipher. Then, through the chaos, a voice. It was distorted, almost robotic, but undeniably human. A voice filled with urgency and fear. It spoke of an impending event, an event of catastrophic proportions. The words were difficult to make out, lost in the swirling vortex of colors and static. But the message was clear. Something was coming, something dark, something evil. The cacophony of sound and images abruptly ceased. The familiar tones of the emergency broadcast system, a sound that had become synonymous with Cold War paranoia, filled the airwaves. But this was different. This wasn't a test. This was real. A voice, calm and official, announced an unspecified emergency. It urged viewers to remain calm and await further instructions. But the usual instructions never came. Instead, the voice was replaced by a low, guttural growl. The sound sent chills down the spines of those who heard it. The screen flickered, revealing a series of disturbing images. Each image flashed by too quickly to be fully comprehended, but the glimpses were enough. Mangled bodies. Burning buildings. A sky filled with what looked like eyes. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the emergency broadcast ended. Section 5. Faceless Spectators. The screen went dark again. The only sound was the hum of the television set and the frantic beating of hearts across countless homes. Then, a new image flickered into existence. It was a still image, grainy and black and white, but undeniably eerie. It appeared to be a group of people, dressed in what looked like old-fashioned clothing, standing in a nondescript room. Their faces were obscured by shadows, or perhaps something more sinister. Their eyes, however, were clearly visible. Wide, white, and filled with an expression that could only be described as pure terror. The image remained on the screen for what felt like an eternity, the faceless figures staring out at the viewers. It was as if they were trying to communicate something. A warning? A plea for help? Or was it something far more sinister? Section 6. The House of Shadows. The static returned, briefly disrupting the unsettling tableau of the faceless figures. When the screen cleared, it revealed a new image. This time, it was a single-story house, seemingly abandoned and shrouded in darkness. The house seemed to pulsate with an unnatural energy. The camera slowly panned across the front of the house, lingering on each darkened window as if something lurked within. The sense of dread was palpable. This wasn't just an abandoned house. It was a place of secrets, of hidden horrors. Section 7. Temporal Disturbances. The image of the house dissolved into a swirling vortex of static. When it cleared, the screen displayed a series of clocks, all showing different times. Some were analog, others digital, but all were out of sync, their hands spinning wildly or their digits changing at an alarming rate. The cacophony of ticking and beeping was accompanied by a high-pitched whine that seemed to bore into the viewer's skull. The message was clear. Time was broken. The rules of reality were unraveling. Section 8. A Final Plea. The clocks disappeared, replaced by a close-up of a single eye. It was wide with terror, the pupil dilated to an unnatural size. It darted back and forth, as if searching for something, or perhaps someone. Then a voice, raspy and desperate, whispered a single phrase. "Don't let them in." The voice was filled with a raw terror that transcended the television screen and reached out to touch the very souls of those who heard it. Section 9. The Unanswered Question. The screen went black. The broadcast was over. The static returned, but it was different now. It was empty, devoid of the sinister energy that had permeated it earlier. It was as if whatever had hijacked Channel 7 had moved on. The next day, the news reported nothing about the strange broadcast. No explanation was given, no investigation launched. It was as if it never happened. But those who had witnessed the broadcast knew the truth. They had seen something truly unsettling, something that defied explanation. And they knew, deep down, that whatever had happened that night was far from over. The question wasn't what happened, but it would happen again. And who would be ready?